But it's also a movie about how Barbies are the dolls that everyone cares about, and Ken is just a accessory, which is real. And you bring these things into a movie and you make them real life Barbie land.
Right.
That's how they have to be, because that's how it is in the real world.
Has Ryan Reynolds stepped too far over the line, jeopardizing not just his image but his entire career? Whispers in Hollywood say he might have used secret leverage against director Justin Baldoni during the production of It Ends With Us, and the resulting fallout is growing louder by the day. Even Joe Rogan couldn't hold back, calling out Reynolds for what he deemed dirty manipulation tactics. Now the question on everyone's mind is whether Marvel, one of the biggest powerhouses in entertainment, is ready to cut ties with the face of Deadpool. Is this the moment that changes the trajectory of Ryan Reynolds' massive empire? Let's uncover every detail of this spiraling controversy, from private on-set disputes to the rumored blackmail that could dismantle one of Hollywood's most beloved personalities. From the outset, the film adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel, It Ends With Us, seemed poised for success. Justin Baldoni, known for his heartfelt storytelling and motivational style, signed on to direct. Blake Lively, a prominent star with a knack for both comedy and drama, was perfectly cast as Lily Bloom. Industry insiders were thrilled. The film had an incredible creative team, an adaptable script, and an existing fan base eager to see this popular book come to life. But beneath that shiny surface, tension was quietly brewing. Despite not being credited on the project, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, began making frequent visits to the set. At first, it all seemed innocent. He'd drop by to support Blake, chat with the crew, and even share comedic anecdotes with extras. People assumed he was simply being a supportive spouse, known for his friendly demeanor and good humor. Then, crew members noticed something unusual. Reynolds wasn't just hanging around. He was giving suggestions about how certain lines might be delivered, which camera angles could heighten the mood, and even what wardrobe choices might better fit a scene. Word began to spread that Reynolds was angling for more creative influence behind the scenes. No official title. No producing credit. Yet there he was, offering feedback and asking pointed questions that some interpreted as attempts to steer the film. Initially, Baldoni appeared polite, maybe even appreciative of another viewpoint, until it became clear this involvement was edging into territory that made him uncomfortable. The set's cheerful atmosphere turned tense. Some crew members exchanged worried glances every time Reynolds walked in. Others whispered that his opinions carried the unspoken weight of Blake Lively's star power, making them impossible to ignore. In an attempt to keep the peace, Baldoni reportedly held private discussions with Reynolds. Their conversations often ended in frustration.
I mean, I always thought I'd end up as in law enforcement, like my family. So I didn't imagine that acting was a way to get out of the house. It wasn't really like a passion when I was a kid. It was something that I was already doing at home, to survive. So you kind of, I noticed when I was a kid, making people laugh was a great self-defense mechanism. It really helped me kind of navigate my way through my own home with my older brothers and my dad, and I could diffuse them by making them laugh.
Baldoni remained steadfast about protecting his vision. Reynolds seemed adamant that certain aspects needed tweaking, though no one could precisely pinpoint why he was so invested. The more Baldoni resisted, the more persistent Reynolds became. Eventually, rumors began to leak. Was Ryan Reynolds holding something over Justin Baldoni's head to gain creative control? People on set were mystified. How had a straightforward adaptation turned into a behind-the-scenes showdown? But this was only the beginning of a drama that would spill beyond the film's production. Once those blackmail whispers started circulating, the entire vibe shifted. Staffers wanted to keep their distance from the situation, focusing on their jobs and hoping it would all blow over. Blake Lively found herself uncomfortably wedged between her husband and her director. It was a surreal standoff, and no one knew how it would end. Yet the strain only grew stronger, inching closer to a tipping point. Before long, the drama wasn't just an on-set problem, it was a festering rumor in the Hollywood grapevine. Strange as it all sounded, more pieces were about to fall into place, and one of the biggest catalysts came from an unexpected source, Joe Rogan. For a conflict to escalate this rapidly, there had to be more than just creative disagreements. Enter the shocking rumor that Ryan Reynolds possessed secret information about Justin Baldoni, some personal detail, or maybe a clandestine business tidbit that could upend Baldoni's career or reputation if revealed. Nobody knew precisely what it entailed. The possibilities were endless: a hidden contract dispute, unsavory dealings, or personal missteps from Baldoni's past that he'd hoped to keep private. Whenever Reynolds appeared on set, the energy would shift from collective enthusiasm to edgy alertness. Baldoni had to keep a game face, but insiders say there was an undercurrent of anxiety in every interaction. If Reynolds truly had leverage, how far would he push to get his way? And what would Baldoni be forced to sacrifice to maintain his professional and personal boundaries? Speculation pointed to one major angle. Perhaps Baldoni had confided in the wrong person about a business deal, or maybe a prior working relationship ended badly, leaving him vulnerable to career-damaging revelations. Others claimed the leverage was more personal, an alleged piece of private life drama that, if exposed, would overshadow any film. Whatever the case, Baldoni wasn't backing down. Rather than cave to demands, he dug in his heels. Instead of quietly giving Reynolds the creative reins, Baldoni insisted on doing things his way. Meetings to negotiate some middle ground failed, and tensions rose to the point where a few staff members confided they'd never experienced a set atmosphere quite like it. The experience was so unnerving that it spurred rumors about whether the movie could proceed under such contentious circumstances. Everyone had the same question: if Baldoni refused to yield, would Reynolds escalate the conflict, or would he walk away to protect his public image? The production limped forward with persistent drama behind the scenes, but the main cast and crew kept their heads down, hoping to push through. Baldoni's steadfast silence only fueled the rumor mill further. Some contended that, by not fighting back publicly, he was saving his energy for the bigger battle, one that could unfold once the film was complete. Meanwhile, fans had no clue any of this was going on.
Who are you? Oh, I'm Deadpool. And I guess you're Deadpool too. But in here, everybody calls me Nice Pool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Lady Pool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too, and can't even tell. I don't think you're supposed to say that. That's okay. I identify as a...
Eager as ever to see Blake Lively's portrayal of Lily Bloom. But the hush-hush environment couldn't last forever. The allegations simmered until they were too big for Hollywood insiders to ignore. Then, Joe Rogan stepped in with critical remarks that lit the flame in full view of the public. And from that moment on, there was no going back. Joe Rogan, known for his unfiltered opinions, typically weighs in on hot-button topics that range from pop culture to MMA. So when he began discussing rumors of blackmail tied to Ryan Reynolds, people took notice. On an episode of his podcast, Rogan didn't hold back. He labeled Reynolds' approach as entirely inappropriate, saying if your partner experiences harassment or difficulty, you address it through legitimate channels, not by mocking or twisting the situation to gain an upper hand. He alluded that Reynolds had stepped into the realm of dirty tactics that wouldn't just harm him but also reflect poorly on those around him. The conversation unleashed a wave of new speculation. Rogan's words carried weight, since he's not someone who typically invents drama for clicks. Listeners started hunting for more clues, and for the first time, the broader public began connecting the dots. Comments from fans appeared on social media, demanding transparency. More individuals on the periphery of the film industry chimed in, sometimes anonymously, to confirm that yes, tension on the It Ends With Us set was more intense than the public knew. Suddenly, a hush fell over Ryan Reynolds' public appearances. Known for his quick wit and social media humor, he didn't respond to Rogan's comments, nor did he attempt to disprove them. This silence was telling. It fanned the flames of controversy. Why wasn't Reynolds defending himself more aggressively if there was no truth to the allegations? On the other side, Justin Baldoni also stayed quiet, leaving many to wonder if legal constraints, NDAs, or deeper strategic motives were at play. Rogan's condemnation was more than just a passing remark, it was a direct call-out. He implied that if Reynolds used personal or professional secrets for gain, it bordered on blackmail and reflected a disturbing use of power. This angle turned the story from typical Hollywood sniping into a deeper question about how far a major star would go to maintain control. Fans, journalists, and industry insiders alike found themselves asking, is the Deadpool star risking his entire empire on one reckless move? That's when new information surfaced, pointing to a very strange creative choice in Deadpool 3, something that might have been Reynolds' twisted way of exacting revenge. What was initially brushed off as an outlandish rumor soon appeared all too plausible. In the Deadpool universe, no joke is too edgy, and no line is too irreverent. Ryan Reynolds set that tone from day one, making Deadpool's comedic mayhem a massive box office success. But the introduction of a character rumored to be called Nice Pool struck many as suspicious, especially once fans began drawing comparisons to Justin Baldoni.
About a month ago, this really hit home with me too. About a month ago, I was sitting in traffic and I was just like jamming These Dreams by heart. Oh. I was killing it in the car. And there was just this busload of high school kids that were parked right beside me. I didn't even realize. I looked over and every one of their jaws were just on the ground, laughing their friggin' guts out at me.
The character, according to insider leaks, was Reynolds' personal jab at someone who radiates motivational positivity to the point of parody. Nice Pool supposedly preaches love, optimism, and moral fortitude in ways that border on comedic exaggeration. His squeaky clean, the polar opposite of the foul-mouthed, violence-prone anti-hero Deadpool. Audiences who got wind of this character started scratching their heads. Was this simply Reynolds adding comedic variety to the Deadpool world? Or was it something more targeted? Soon, speculation took on a life of its own. People who had followed Baldoni's career recognized how Nice Pool's sunny persona might be a distorted reflection of Baldoni's well-known motivational speaking, philanthropic projects, and aspirational messaging. The whispers took a more serious tone when industry insiders confirmed that certain lines uttered by Nice Pool felt suspiciously close to phrases Baldoni has used in interviews and public speaking engagements. As the rumor grew, it started to look less like happenstance and more like a deliberate caricature. This creative decision baffled many. While parody is Deadpool's bread and butter, this seemed overly specific, too personalized to be mere coincidence. Marvel, known for carefully shaping its cinematic brand, found itself in a precarious position. If the intention was to settle a personal grudge, it dragged the entire studio into a messy fight. Worse still, it put them at risk of legal or PR backlash if Baldoni ever decided to speak out. For a company that thrives on polished blockbusters and meticulously crafted public images, a personal vendetta woven into a Marvel film was the last thing they needed. In that sense, Nice Pool might have been a comedic gem for viewers, but behind closed doors, Marvel executives reportedly weren't laughing. Insiders said the top brass demanded an explanation from Reynolds. They wanted to know if he was using the film to antagonize or humiliate someone else. Even more alarming to them was the question of how this storyline might overshadow the entire project if news got out. No one wanted a personal feud to detract from a multi-million-dollar franchise. Suddenly, a playful cameo threatened to derail the carefully curated Deadpool brand. While the blackmail angle is still speculation, the lingering possibility can't be ignored. Hollywood's collective memory is filled with cautionary tales of secret recordings, private text messages, or legal documents that pop up when least expected. If Ryan Reynolds truly possesses something incriminating against Baldoni, one question arises: how hard would it be for him to leak it? In the digital age, a single screenshot or snippet of audio can ignite a firestorm within hours. Even the rumor of that evidence is enough to keep a tension-laden silence on both sides. Baldoni, presumably, would hate to see personal details or misguided past statements become tabloid fodder. Reynolds, for his part, might realize that if any leak is traced back to him, he risks irreversible damage to his public persona as the charming, witty actor adored by millions. The entertainment world is unforgiving about bullying or manipulation. If blackmail is proven, it would overshadow any comedic appeal Deadpool once provided. Joe Rogan's critique only heightened the stakes. He essentially put the controversy on a massive public stage, challenging Reynolds to defend himself. So far, no definitive proof of blackmail has emerged. But the repeated references, combined with insider testimonies, keep the question alive. Will something surface that confirms these allegations beyond rumor? Meanwhile, Marvel's top executives watch and wait. They are known to do everything in their power to safeguard major properties from public relations nightmares. If they conclude that Reynolds is risking the brand's credibility, they might sever the relationship in a low-profile but definitive manner. What started as a behind-the-scenes scuffle could result in the end of an iconic partnership, altering Marvel's cinematic universe for good. Justin Baldoni comes from a background of heartfelt projects and has a reputation for motivational public speaking and philanthropic initiatives. For someone who built his brand on positivity and genuine human connection, being involved in a blackmail scandal contradicts everything he stands for. So why the silence? One popular interpretation is that Baldoni sees no benefit in fanning the flames. If he engages in a public war of words with Reynolds, he He risks making the dispute appear more than it is, or worse, prompting Reynolds to unleash the alleged secrets. Another angle is that Baldoni might be negotiating behind the scenes with others in Hollywood who have also observed Reynolds' influence. Perhaps his calmly gathering support and letting the powers that be, like Marvel, reach their own conclusions. If the studio acts on its own, Baldoni remains unscathed, emerging with his reputation largely intact while Reynolds faces the consequences. Even for fans of Baldoni, the entire situation is perplexing. Nobody can recall him being at the epicenter of any scandal before. He's known for championing emotional well-being, directing heart-tugging narratives, and uplifting people around him. The contradiction of him being forced to navigate a potential blackmail scenario with a high-profile actor is jarring. Could that be why he's choosing the path of least resistance, focusing on finishing it ends with us without further drama? At the end of the day, the more quietly Baldoni handles this, the better his odds of coming out clean. If Marvel does decide to part ways with Reynolds, it would be a clear sign of where they stand. Meanwhile, if the blackmail angle fizzles out and is never proven, Baldoni faces minimal blowback. Whichever way it goes, Baldoni's choice to remain silent might be the wisest move given the intensity of the accusations. This entire saga teeters at a crossroads, and the final outcome could reshape Hollywood allegiances in a matter of weeks or months. Will Ryan Reynolds salvage his career by swiftly debunking the blackmail rumor, or will Marvel phase him out to protect its colossal brand image? What about Justin Baldoni? Will he ever confirm or deny that Reynolds held something over him, or continue maintaining an enigmatic silence? And how does Blake Lively cope with the possibility of permanent rifts within her professional and personal life? These lingering questions hover like dark clouds over some of Hollywood's brightest names. Few expected a public figure with Reynolds' charm and comedic brilliance to find himself accused of such a severe breach of ethics. Yet the swirl of rumors, the pointed comments from Joe Rogan, and Marvel's rumored displeasure all point to a real conflict that could unravel into a much larger scandal. In an industry where appearances are meticulously managed, any whiff of blackmail can be catastrophic. Studios thrive on trust, both among talent and with audiences who support their billion-dollar franchises. If that trust is broken, replacements happen fast, reputations evaporate, and once invincible stars become cautionary tales. Ryan Reynolds has spent years cultivating a brand that merges Deadpool's wit with his own cheerful persona. Whether that brand survives depends on how quickly he can silence these allegations, or how convincingly he can demonstrate they are baseless. But if proof emerges, if there's any concrete evidence that he pressured Baldoni, or even used personal secrets to sway production, then this might be the final chapter of Ryan Reynolds' Marvel journey. Hollywood offers second chances, but rarely for those who weaponize confidential information against a colleague. The era of hush-hush deals and behind-the-scenes intimidation is increasingly out of step with an audience demanding accountability and transparency. For now, the swirling rumors remain unresolved. Justin Baldoni focuses on his directorial efforts, Marvel keeps its lips sealed, and fans watch nervously, wondering if Deadpool 3 might be the last time they see Reynolds don the red and black suit. It's a stark reminder that beneath the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, the stakes are always high, and one wrong move can send even the biggest star plummeting from grace. Only time will reveal if Ryan Reynolds' legacy will be that of the beloved, snarky anti-hero who broke box office records, or the actor whose alleged blackmail scandal sank an entire empire. Until then, all eyes remain on the unfolding drama, waiting to see if the Deadpool star can sidestep a career-ending blow or if this controversy marks the end of an era for one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. And just when you think you've heard it all, remember, in Hollywood, there's always another twist lurking around the corner.